The glass towers of Hamilton and Pierce architecture stretched toward the sky, their reflective surfaces catching the morning light. Marcus Reed adjusted his navy tie as he walked through the revolving doors, nodding to the security guard who barely acknowledged him. At 32, Marcus had already established himself as one of the most innovative architects in the city, his designs blending functionality with bold, sustainable elements that caught the eye of several major clients. "Morning, Reed," called Tom Parker from the elevator. "Ready for the Westbrook presentation?" "Been ready for weeks," Marcus replied with a confident smile, stepping into the elevator beside his colleague. What he didn't say was that he'd spent the entire weekend refining the presentation while his white counterparts were at Director Pearson's lakeside barbecue, an event to which Marcus had somehow not received an invitation. As the elevator climbed, Marcus noticed how conversation between the other occupants flowed naturally, then quieted when they addressed him. These subtle shifts had become painfully familiar over his 3 years at the firm. The boardroom fell silent as Director Pearson cleared his throat. "After careful consideration, I'm pleased to announce that Alex Whitman will be taking on the role of Senior Design Director." Marcus felt his stomach drop. He maintained his composed expression as congratulations erupted around the table, forcing himself to join the applause. Alex, who had joined the firm 18 months after Marcus and whose portfolio contained half the successful projects that Marcus had delivered. "Tough break," whispered Zara Chen, the firm's structural engineer and one of the few colleagues who treated Marcus as an equal. "Everyone knows you deserve that promotion." Later that evening, long after most employees had left, Marcus stayed behind to complete the Westbrook documentation. The office was quiet except for the hum of the air conditioning. As he passed Pearson's office, he noticed the lights still on, voices drifting through the partially open door. "Whitman was the right choice," Pearson was saying. "He's got the right profile for our clients. Reed is talented, sure, but some of our more traditional clients might not feel comfortable." "Agreed," came the voice of Vice President Calloway. "Though we need to keep him around, his work on the Riverside project was exceptional. Just not front-facing." Marcus froze, his breath caught in his throat. He stepped away silently, anger building in his chest. Back at his desk, he opened his email, scrolling through months of correspondence. A message caught his eye. A forwarded email accidentally included him in the chain. He opened it to find a discussion about client assignments, with a disturbing note from Pearson: "Let's keep Reed on the background design work." Hayes Construction mentioned they prefer to work with someone more relatable. His suspicions confirmed, Marcus began searching through shared folders, finding a pattern in project assignments and client meetings. The evidence was there in black and white, his talents relegated to behind-the-scenes work while less qualified colleagues became the faces of his projects. "This isn't just about my promotion," Marcus explained to Zara the next day. They sat in a corner booth of a cafe 2 blocks from the office, voices lowered despite the lunch crowd noise. "It's systematic." Zara sipped her coffee, brow furrowed as she studied the printed emails Marcus had collected. "These comments are definitely inappropriate, but we need more to prove a pattern of discrimination." "That's why I need your help," Marcus said, leaning forward. "You have access to the HR database through your committee role." Zara hesitated. "This is risky, Marcus. For both of us." "I know," he nodded solemnly. "But if we don't stand against this now, it continues. Not just for me, but for everyone who comes after." Over the next 3 weeks, they worked methodically. Zara pulled salary data showing disparities between Marcus and his white counterparts with similar or lesser credentials. Marcus documented every instance where his ideas were attributed to others in meetings or presentations. They discovered a troubling email thread where Pearson discussed company image with clients, suggesting certain architects would be better fits for high-profile presentations, never selecting Marcus despite his superior qualifications. "Look at this," Zara whispered one evening, showing Marcus her tablet. The promotion committee notes revealed that Marcus had received the highest performance scores, yet comments questioned whether he was the right cultural fit for leadership. "They've created a glass ceiling with plausible deniability," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the fury and hurt building inside him. "But now we have proof." Marcus requested a meeting with Pearson and HR Director Valerie Townsend, his portfolio of evidence tucked under his arm. The conference room felt unnaturally cold as he laid out the documents before them. "These records show a clear pattern of discrimination in project assignments, client interactions, and promotional opportunities," Marcus stated firmly, maintaining eye contact despite Pearson's darkening expression. "This is a serious allegation, Mr. Reed," Townsend replied, her tone clipped. "And frankly, I'm concerned about how you obtained some of this information." "My methods aren't the issue here," Marcus countered. "The systematic exclusion and unequal treatment of minority employees is." Pearson leaned forward. "I think you're misinterpreting normal business decisions as something sinister, Reed. This borders on insubordination." The following week was brutal. Marcus found himself removed from the Westbrook project, his creation, and reassigned to mundane drafting tasks. Colleagues who once spoke freely with him now avoided eye contact in hallways. His access to certain company servers was mysteriously glitched, requiring IT approval for basic functions. "They're making an example of you," Zara warned during a hurried conversation by the water cooler. The partners had a closed-door meeting yesterday. "Something about addressing problematic attitudes." "Let them try," Marcus replied, though his confidence was wearing thin. "They're only proving my point." The annual client gala was Hamilton and Pierce's premier networking event. Marcus attended despite the tension, determined to maintain professionalism. He was discussing his Riverside design with a potential client when Pearson intercepted them. "Let me introduce you to Alex Whitman instead," Pearson said smoothly, steering the client away. "He's better suited to handle your projects. Unique requirements." Later, Marcus overheard Pearson in the bathroom speaking to Vice President Calloway. "Thank God I rescued Blackwell from Reed. Can you imagine putting $1 million project in his hands? Some of these clients get nervous enough just seeing him in the building." Calloway laughed. "Well, that's why we keep him in the back office. Talented enough, but not exactly the face we want representing Hamilton and Pierce." Marcus stood frozen, smartphone recording every word. The mask of subtlety had finally dropped. His hands trembled not with fear, but with resolve. Tomorrow, everything would change. "The evidence you've gathered is substantial," Elijah Banks said, his experienced eyes scanning through Marcus's documentation. The attorney's office was modest but meticulous, walls lined with law books and framed newspaper clippings of past victories. "Will it be enough?" Marcus asked, watching Banks organize the files into categories. "It's compelling. The salary disparities, promotion records, and especially these recorded conversations constitute a strong case for workplace discrimination." Banks tapped the audio file on his laptop. "They were careless enough to be explicit. For 3 weeks, they built the case methodically." Marcus provided additional documentation, performance reviews showing his consistently superior ratings compared to promoted colleagues, project attribution records, and testimonials from former employees who had experienced similar treatment. Zara took the brave step of becoming a formal witness. "They'll know I helped you," she said, signing her affidavit. "But some things matter more than job security." Banks brought in financial analysts to calculate damages, years of lost wages, promotions, and opportunities. The numbers were staggering. "Tomorrow we file," Banks announced during their final preparation meeting. "Hamilton and Pierce will receive formal notice of our discrimination lawsuit. They'll likely offer a settlement with confidentiality clauses." "I'm not interested in being silenced," Marcus replied firmly. "This isn't just about money. It's about changing the system." The courtroom fell silent as Marcus took the stand, his testimony clear and unwavering. Behind the defense table, Pearson and the Hamilton and Pierce executives shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Reed, please describe the conversation you overheard at the client gala," prompted Elijah Banks. Marcus recounted the bathroom conversation verbatim, his voice steady. When the audio recording played through the courtroom speakers, Pearson's face drained of color. "Your Honor, we object to this recording," began the firm's attorney. "Objection overruled," the judge stated firmly. "The recording was made in a public restroom where there's no expectation of privacy." The courtroom erupted when Banks revealed the statistical analysis of promotion patterns at the firm, showing clear racial disparities that couldn't be explained by performance or qualifications. "And this email," Banks continued, displaying a message on the courtroom screen, "explicitly instructs HR to find reasons to delay Mr. Reed's advancement despite his qualifications." Pearson leaned over to whisper frantically to his lawyers as the evidence mounted inexorably against them. The verdict came after 4 tense days of deliberation. In the case of Reed versus Hamilton and Pierce Architecture, the jury finds in favor of the plaintiff, announced the forewoman, her voice ringing through the packed courtroom. Beyond the substantial financial settlement, the true victory came in the mandated changes. Hamilton and Pierce was required to implement transparent promotion practices, diversity training, and independent oversight of hiring decisions. Marcus declined their offer to return, instead using part of his settlement to establish Reed Design Partners, a firm committed to inclusive excellence. 6 months later, Marcus stood in his new offices, watching as Zara and 4 other former Hamilton and Pierce employees arranged their desks. Outside, a reporter waited to interview him about the case that had sparked similar actions at architectural firms across the country. "Ready?" asked Zara. Marcus nodded, straightening his tie. It was never just about one promotion or one firm. It was about changing what's possible for everyone who comes next.